I appreciate it. It's a work of art. It's architecture.
And you know what? For those who might not be familiar, I would like to play this clip of 10. Like, you know, I'm just going to stream this up real quick just to kind of give people a little text that you can see.
Okay. You did your homework, bro. Yeah, Bruce Allen shot this.
I think it's showing that. It's playing the audio from the video. So once it cuts back, we can go into a little bit more.
No, you good. We good.
This is actually going to be
Dior.
Really fun. Ashley Brown.
Why you cut it all together this second? Damn, dude.
We are almost at the end of this one.
Okay.
A few more seconds, and it's going to fade out with the 10, and then we're going to jump back. And after he's on the stairs are coming, and back to me.
Cut.
Yep, cut. So talk about that clip, like that moment.
That's
like
a lot. You spliced together a lot of different times. I mean, I think what jumps out at me is, you know, I want to, maybe it can be too literal for some people's interpretation, but I think a lot of times, you know, I wanted to do the shoots in and around places in DC that I thought were completely picturesque, beautiful, appreciated the things and the structures and the landmarks that we to some degree take for granted, but from a new angle. Like, I had never, you know, of course I'd seen people take shots of Chinatown, but not in the middle, because one day I walked by and I said, oh, the clock goes, you can walk across, you can walk catty corner for 45 seconds. We can get shots in. So it's just things like that where, and, you know, I'm glad to see a lot more of that. And, you know, just appreciating the city and trying to showcase it from different angles. So,
I mean, yeah, you took over Chinatown. Like, look at this. Like, you're a Chinatown guy.
Yeah, shout out again to Bruce and Aaron, Yasmin, and actually that's where I met a few other photographers that day. That was a great day. No, that was actually for a shoot for those button downs that I did. So I've always wanted to do sort of like traditionally fit clothing, or just, you know, well tailored clothing, but in bold, colorful ways and with unique prints. Like that's always the aesthetic that I'm going for. So those button ups were sort of my first foray into dress clothes like that.
Man, no, and again, I know I took like a span of years and montaged it in a clip, and I don't want to run past any of it, because again, another highlight is just your collaboration amongst the city. You know, like I saw Dior Ashley Brown in that clip. You know, very prominent music artist. Like, talk about what goes into like just working with different people, because I've seen a range of people, like from her, KO, Rain, like just various people that you work with. Like, what do you put into this? And amazing, just to our point earlier, just amazing black women that you really put on in these spaces.
That's true. I mean, when you were mentioning earlier, I think, you know, another reason why I started 10 is because a perspective I share with you about your introduction about the Breonna Taylor situation, and just out of respect and providing potentially a platform to share other people's perspectives and other people's voices, you know, hearkening back to who I'm creating with and who I'm relying on their perspective for and collaborating with, but also to challenge the idea that a lot of times, you know, that we're seeing this with the Telfair thing, or in a little bit about why, if, you know, not white people respond to something really well, why can't it be luxury, or why is it automatically streetwear, or whatever. And so it's like, and I've had a couple interesting discussions with white people about, they're like, well, why do you only make clothes for black women? And I'm like, I make clothes for everybody. You know, it's just like, why does it make you uncomfortable that they're wearing these clothes? It doesn't detract from it at all. Everybody, we all have been seeing everybody else in clothes this entire time for hundreds and hundreds of years. I don't understand like why. Excuse me. I don't understand why it's a big deal, really. You know? So it's just, you know, So there's so many creative people in DC. Getting back to that point, and you know, I always wanted to be very, very collaborative in the way that I created, and also, you know, if somebody responds to the ideas that I'm coming up with, I want to see how it inspires them to create, you know, and what energy they bring to it. So I've been lucky. I've worked with a lot of people. I'd like to work with double that amount. but so far so good, I think.
And now, and so just context. I think we definitely just jumped into the middle of this journey. I would like to go back and just like see, because I mean, like, I did my homework a little bit. I did a little bit of homework. I studied.
I heard.
And like I say, like, University of Kansas, creative writing, like talk about like how did you get on this track when you started in a creative space? Like, how did you get into fashion?
How did I get into fashion? So I want to say, outside of all of that, I actually was more interested in fashion from the jump. Even as a little kid, I really cared about matching when I went to school and what clothes I was wearing. That really mattered to me. I picked out my clothes all the time. When I could, I would go to a pastime with my mom that we shared was going to Goodwill, and they were really, I'm not gonna lie, my parents were not cool with buying me a ton of Nikes and a ton of like polo and stuff. Like they were like, no, you get one shirt, one pair of shoes a year, the rest is on you, kind of thing. So we would go to Goodwill, and I would like think, I'd get vintage things when I was in middle school and stuff like that. So I just always been interested in that. And then even through my music, being in bands and things like that, always designed the merch. So I always had my ideas first through fashion, but then, I've always loved music. I've always been involved with music. And so, I went down that path for a little while, but I think music for real is too close to my heart. I care too much about my songs. It's just like, I sweat bullets when people listen to my music. Mm-hmm. But with fashion, I want to share my ideas. It's weird. It's like, I think with a label, with a brand, you can sort of steer people towards your perspective of the world and your messaging and just how you think people should, to some degree, dress but live, like a lifestyle. And so I think with fashion, I just think it's a medium that it can be more powerful. I'm not saying music can't touch our emotions. It totally can. Sure. But I think to get more stuff done, maybe across, fashion's been my first love, though.
No, I think for me, I think of the intricacies of those things. Like the idea is music is what feelings sound like, right? And honestly, how you dress is how you feel. It's interchangeable. Like, it's all based on emotion. One's just expressed in a way that's a little bit more vocal and judged. While fashion, it's like once someone has the piece, it's theirs to own. Exactly. It's theirs to make of it. Your music, they're coming back to you about it. They're like, "Hey, man, I heard this song."
Or they didn't.
or I did not hear it.
Or they never heard it.
But you and just real quick, TBT, because it's Thursday. Like, talk about the you had the production what was this? And you was still stylish. I still see the fashion, bro. I told you I had that gym or two. I had to have a gym or two.
Wow. Okay. So, first round draft pick. So, I was another 10, by the way, Robert Griffin III. But back to his draft era, I was I've always been, unfortunately, a fan of the Washington football team, and for better or for worse. And so, so right around the time we kind of knew he was getting drafted, I just randomly went into the studio. That song I made in about 15 minutes, truly. Like, I made the beat and then just completely ad-libbed the lyrics and just kind of went off from there. And my really good friend Johan jumped on the track as well. And actually, he made a really funny video that played a lot of RG3 clips.
Nice.
And things, and it got on like 20,000 views at some point. So, it didn't do nothing.
Right, it made noise.
Yeah, it made a little bit of noise.
At what point did you decide to transition away from that consistently and being like, better yet, how did you re-identify yourself?
Wow, great question. How did I re-identify myself? I think about the time I was decided to go to grad school and kind of do a career switch on my professional side of life. So I was a public school teacher, and I was doing sort of teaching music and doing after school programs in Arlington, while I was in Arlington and living in DC, but then switched to fashion the minute I got into grad school. Started falling in love with branding and strategy and things like that. And I was like, wait, this is the perfect balance of my creativity and my business. Music isn't.
Gotcha.
I didn't get the game at all. I still don't get the game. I don't even get publishing. Like, what is that? I don't get anything about music.
It gets very intricate. Trust me.
With fashion, if you're Can I cuss on this show?
Dude, yeah.
Okay, if your shit is good, and people will wear it or want it or whatever, or be photographed in it. So it's like, you know, I'm not saying music can't be the same way, but it's a different game.
Look, as someone who is under CSAC published, like writing group, and it's not easy to understand the processes, ins and outs, like splits, all those things come into play. So I get it.
Right.
Music is a world within itself.
Yeah.
You know, and fashion is as well. But you know, the one thing that I love about your brand specifically is just how much you're able to weave the idea of 10 throughout things. You know, like one of the hoodies that I have is the Love 10 one. I think I think you actually have one. If you could like just reference for the good people and just explain like what was the messaging behind this project, because I love those.
Thank you. So the Love 10 message was something that I was just riffing on because I was trying to come up with designs. You know, I feel like a lot of the era now is, you know, words on t-shirts. Sure. And that's not a bad thing, but you know, when I was thinking about doing my own version and throwing 10's hat in the ring, so to speak, it was like, okay, what's the messaging? What does being on 10 mean? What does 10 mean? And sort of what do I want it to be amplified? So I came up with the idea of doing that, you know, the superscript with the power to kind of thing. And I was like, oh, well, if 10 means, you know, creativity and leadership and the ability to bring peace and harmony to all people, well, I want to expand that. I want other ideas and messaging to have that same aura to it. So love was it's how I would like to lead in my life. It's how I wish we all could deal with each other. And so I'm not to say in a pacifistic way. I don't want people to go around and being forgiving and stuff like that when atrocious things are happening. But I just, in my mind, I'd rather we all lead with love. So, you know, why not, you know, as a representation of that, wear it.
No, I love that sentiment, and I actually would like to even just kind of even expound on just, you know, what does that mean in terms of what you wear? Because I think that's a good reflection to it. Like you talk about like just embodying and leading with love and just that thing, but like, you know, in all of what you're building and all of what you've done, because it's also been some high fashion things like your scarves, like you know, talk about the love of the process. Like, what do you put into designing these great things?
Well, I appreciate that, and I mean, it all depends, right? Like with writing a song or doing any kind of creative thing, it's sort of what hits you. Sometimes, like I said, I can be walking through the metro and finally look up at the ceiling and think, oh, that's beautiful, and I can see it working itself on somebody's body in a fabric kind of way. But I mean, it could be about the messaging and what I want people to represent or how they want to feel. You know, and I use bold colors and unique prints because I want people to be making a statement. Like you said, whether they're saying something or not. Yeah. But in a way just in the way I think it's sort of the whole wave of things that are happening now in the culture and the expectations of things and sort of the looking at things for how they really are objectively. It's sort of like, and I stood back and I was like, I like, you know, fitting clothes, I like well-made clothes, but I think people are holding back, and I wanted to just, you know, add that 10 energy, that boldness, that, you know, that uniqueness, that power to the clothes. It's like even to challenge myself, because as you can see, I'm wearing jeans and a black long sleeve t-shirt. I'm not, you know, nobody's writing home about that, but it's a challenge. I'll wear the hoodie out, and that's bold red. So you know, so it's a challenge to myself and to everybody that responds to it and wears it.
And I actually want to pull up this clip real quick just to kind of play it, as it shows a little bit more of like that experience. Like, it was a good clip that I found on your page.
No, for sure.
This clip is dope.
Some high quality interaction. Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about whatchamacallit. It's about to be over shortly. The videographer. All right, Pat. So one, you have some amazing videos. All right, let's just who do you partner with as far as most of your videos?
And by the way, Cook, I feel like I'm even holding back in all of them. So just so you know, the expectations and what's going on in here is just like, anyway. But no, shout out to Bruce Allen and Aaron Yasmin. Those are the two, the people that I've produced these videos with consistently, and it's just, you know, I met Bruce actually at a Mira spot. Have you ever heard of Ohm DC? Yeah. So I met Bruce one time at an art opening. It was a really cool event. I came to him with that Chinatown idea. I was like, you know, we could just do it in the middle every now and again and just run out there. And he was like, yes, I'm into that. So we just hit it off like that from an idea perspective, and we kind of riffed off what to do that day. I didn't really, unbeknownst to me, he actually hired Erin to do the back, you know, the BTS kind of footage, but she was just killing it, and her video came out so well. So then I was sort of like put a pin in that, like she's dope, and I could, once you follow her IG, you know that she's like doing music videos and movies and all kinds of cool things like all over the place. So I was like, okay, I'd like to work with her again. So that was when sort of I realized that I'd never really explained why 10? Why did I pick the number? Why is the brand called that? And so I was like, let's make that video on my anniversary and release it. So that's what happened. But those are who the people I've mostly been working with. Of course, Antonio for 80 Shots, you know, that's photography. And of course, Carnegie, and you know, of course, Jordan. So there's been a few. And I'm probably blanking on some, and I'm hating myself for it right now.
We'll get them in like the post production. Like,
True.
And insert name.
Sorry, I'm an asshole. I forgot.
And Carmichael, like just a random voice after. But no, you know the one thing that.
And Mike, of course, Ethio Mike.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a very fire guy.
Right.
Very
exactly.
fire.
Like
and on the
he
show.
actually shot a dope shoot at Studio 12, I believe, by U Street. He shot some of my scarves.
Dope.
Yeah.
And in fact, and it's funny you mentioned Bruce, because like I literally met Bruce on a random night in DC at a random art event. So like your description of him and what he's willing to do is actually absolutely spot on.
For sure.
But you know, talk about being fluid with sharing your ideas with other creatives. Because a lot of times when we produce things, we feel we have to keep them to ourselves. But as you just pointed out, you bring on a lot of different people, and that's like sharing your baby, so to speak, with various people. Like, what's the process like in getting to that collaboration?
I think when I feel ready to share that idea with somebody, it's almost like I'm tired of hearing it back again. You know, it's sort of, I've worked it all out, and I've thought of a lot of what I would want it to be and what I wouldn't want it to be. And so if I'm engaging somebody, it's because I'm going, I've seen your work, I want to meld our ideas together because your level of execution is what I'm looking for. So, you know.
So let's talk about one collaboration, the one that I'm wearing. But
with Isaiah.
Hey guys, this is a 10 shirt. And collab. Talk about what went into this actual collaboration.
That's Pize. He's amazing. He brought his whole. I think at some point we met up, you know, through the creative grapevine of DC, and we just kind of hit it off and started riffing about ideas about. He has these awesome, really unique clouds that he uses in all of his. That's sort of, to me, like his signature graphic element.
Like puzzle pieces.
Exactly, in a lot of his paintings. So I always thought that was cool. And then he was like, oh, I really liked the word and the logo and sort of the idea of 10. So, you know with 10 you have the logo, which is the word basically, and then the X, the Roman numeral X, and then you could do code, right? You could do ones and zeros. So we kind of just riffed off that, and that was one of the great ideas he came up with, and everybody loved that shirt. So, you know, shout out to him. That was a great idea.
And let me just say this to the viewers: this is a very great quality shirt. Like I have worn this on numerous occasions, and let me tell you something. Now that I'm a little bit more in shape, it feels a lot better. So get you a 10 shirt. The collab is probably you can't get no more, but you know other options are out there. And so like just in this space, you know, what is like this current climate and world like? I mean, I'm sure you had because you've always had these collections. I went to a couple of your drops. What has just this season, unfortunately, in this pandemic, done to you and your creative space?
Great question. I think it's a mental roller coaster ride, because a lot of times, you know, in terms of what we were talking about earlier about the lifestyle of 10, I know through my brand I can help, you know, volunteer, clean up, get people together to, you know, do what Chris is doing, you know, like doing 5Ks and raising money for the local HIPS organization. And, you know, I've done things like that in the past, but I think it's always feel like you could do more, always feel like I could do more. And so it's been going back and forth of doing things and then feeling like, oh my God, I have to be respectful of the pandemic. So then I pull back, and then I do things and then I pull back. And so it's just been a lot of sketching in the sketchbook.
Yeah.
And a couple shoots, but I had to basically do it all on my own. So
yeah, and I think this is like
Good
one of your
segue.
recent shoots. Like
Yeah.
one, I mean, you're a cool guy. Like I can't get this stylist.
Oh, whatever. Whatever.
Is this collection available? Like when
Everybody
when
can.
this-
So that it may even piss people off. This is an idea I had. So to go back to this actually is a perfect vehicle to go back to the day that I really knew 10 was going to be what it is. Is I was walking through Union Market before it got kind of, marketed up on that one side.
Sure.
And I was going through the African fabric stores, and it was this first time I'd walked in there many Saturdays, but this Saturday I walked in and I touched this fabric and I could just imagine exactly what piece it should be.
Sure.
And so I bought all the fabrics in the background. I bought that very day, and I've held on to them for maybe 4 years.
Wow.
And I always known they were going to be in the background in a shoot. So I was in the pandemic. I was like, I have a camera, I have a tripod. Let's get it going. So I was playing a bunch of beats in the background and kind of vibed out.
And I mean, like, you got this whole setup. Like, it's like. You're a cool guy. I really want to be you when I grow up.
Oh,
but
come on, man.
but talk about just the one thing that I really want to highlight is just the floral design of the outfit too. Like, because a lot of your outfits are very meticulously colorful. Like, what really inspires that?
Well, I think again, we were talking about a little bit earlier, which is harnessing the energy of 10. Like being on 10 to me is like you're engaged, like you're intense. I'm an intense person, so it's gonna see itself out in the designs.
Yeah.
But also, it's me trying to some degree, really represent as authentically as I can my experience in a place and a time. So, for example, that I call the Chicago Flow, set basically. It was a leggings and a windbreaker because I was walking down Michigan Avenue in Chicago a couple summers ago, and I saw this beautiful flower bed, and it just ended up being this awesome fabric. So it was like I wanted to capture that moment, and I thought, well, it also was like it was Complex Con, and it was perfect summer weather, and it was like. Summertime shy is real, and that it was like I wanted to capture that. So bringing that brightness to it, but bringing that sort of city feel to it too. I knew it worked. It just worked really well. I mean, when I tell you, like, I put DC on my clothes, I put Chicago on my clothes, there's about to be a whole other level of places because everywhere I go, I take pictures and make new fabrics.
Wow. No, I love that, and I have to visit the website to see if that's in my size. Now, with that said, though, we talked just the depth of 10. We talked your beginning slightly, but just for anyone, an aspiring designer or someone coming into the space, what are some just things that you viewed yourself as? This was good to have in my back pocket starting off. Like, is it designs? Is it getting the connections and getting fabric? Like, what's really a great way for someone who is inspired to create clothing?
I think it's, so I think just being prepared, like just going, okay, today I have to do my taxes for it. Today I have to, fix the website. Today I have to post. Today I have to go to a photo shoot. You have to do all that stuff. So, in terms of to start out, I'm not saying you can't have people help you, but then it's other people's ideas and other people's time and other people's schedules. So you just got to be ready for every step and pick the joy out of it. But I also think having, this is now my branding professional marketing side of things to say, if you have an idea, get the website, the social, the TikTok username, the everything immediately. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just to secure it. Sure. Because then nobody can, run you over the coals for, extorting you for having the domain that you want or something like that. So I would just, in terms of that, like if you have an idea or you think you have an idea, just get that stuff out of the way.
Sure.
So once you have it, you can go with it.
No, and in that moment, you also just mentioned just the idea of just having to deal with some setbacks. What was one of those major pivotal moments where it was like, this is a moment where I could either stop this forever or I push through and I prove that this is where I'm supposed to be?
Wow. I mean, I've definitely had the I should stop forever during this pandemic for certain. Just because, let's keep it all the way 1,000% real.
Yeah.
Like, I love creating. That is the thing I wake up thinking about, especially with fashion. But, you know, is it adding to the fight? You know, is it adding to the benefit of other people? You know, that's a lot of serious questions to ask yourself, and I'm not sure the answers are yes to those questions. And so I've definitely thought about maybe stopping forever, just to some degree out of respect for the current situation, just what we're all going through as people in the world.
Sure.
If you have a heart, you've been heartbroken for a while. Sure. And so yeah, they definitely crossed that path. But then I post these pictures, and people are like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it's sort of like, oh, cool. Well, I'm sharing my ideas and people are responding to it positively.
Yeah.
Hey, if it made their day just this much better, then maybe it's worth it. So
yeah, and I think that, you know, I love that sentiment. I love that awareness, right? Because oftentimes when you look at brands, and I speak to you as a brand because 10 is a brand, you know, and you represent 10. You know, oftentimes we see these brands that are hype beasts. Like, in the moment they'll say the right thing. In the moment they will display the right thing. But when the moments gets tougher, the right thing tends to fade off, and then they find themselves back into the norm. So the fact that you've taken this time to just reevaluate the landscape and the value you add to it shows that you have a conscience and that there's more behind your brand. So I just want to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
With what you produce, you bring. I mean, you bring a new level of quality. Like I said, I mean, I have a Love 10 hoodie that has been confiscated from me. Right. You know, because
I've
it's
heard
life.
That story before.
It's life. You know, I would like it back, but you know, there's been a consistency in the quality in the work that you do. So, what's been the trial and error in getting good quality?
That is ordering a lot of samples and being super pissed off with most of them, and just realizing and just not lying to yourself and thinking, is this stuff something I could wear more than 5 times? I mean, 5 times is the bare minimum. I would want it to last way longer, for years, forever. But even still, going just a lot of trial and error. Like you said, a lot of picking ideas and going, you know, is this how I want it to fit? Is this really the fabric that they say it is? And just trying to find reliable producers. Sure. You know, I've finally gotten to a place where if you've seen the more custom print all over, you know, designs from like the cityscapes that you've shown. Yeah. Exactly, like the Gallery Place tee.
And like this one here, by the way, for those good people out there, that's good, man. That's really good.
Appreciate that. So that was, again, we walk on those platforms, those dusty, burnt orange, brown, nasty ass tiles all the time. If you ride Metro or if you're near a Metro station, you've seen those 1,000 times. When I looked at them and I was like, you know what? These could be cool. You just have to completely revert the colors and not make it look gross. So that's basically that's what happened. And randomly, my aunt and uncle had a hydrangea bush, and I was like, oh, that actually looks cool. It's like popcorn. Let's just try it out. So again, just sometimes it's super pre-planned and art directed to the finest tee, but sometimes it's random like that.
I just want you to know that I wanna purchase this shirt and be invited to a gender reveal, just so I can like be there properly. Like, hey, I'm here, guys. It's me. You know, team, both sides.
I'm team both sides. I don't care. It's so sad that people care. I mean, I get it, and I also am like, man, can you let the person be a person? Just for their first couple of days on Earth.
Hey, man, you know, everything's a party nowadays. Everything's a moment, especially when we lost so many. And but yeah, that's my goal. Next gender reveal party, I'm wearing that 10 shirt.
That's a great idea.
But no, I think you know, another aspect of this all, and I don't know how much you want to just divulge, but just in general, you know, with 10 being something that you've been thinking of and processing, and of course passionately pushing, you know, there's other ways that you supplement your life financially.
Yeah,
you know, there's 9-to-5s that we do and things of that nature. Like, talk about staying inspired creatively while working for somebody else. Because that's a thing.
Day and going, oh, I get where they're coming from. I actually can freak that another way and apply it to 10. So because I'm in branding and marketing, I'm learning a lot as well.
I mean, it would have to be to produce at the quality that you do, because, man, I tell you, like again, it's and I know we showed the scarves a little bit earlier, but I mean, just in comparison, I just want to pull up just the detail of this stadium, like this is RFK Stadium.
Yeah.
How did you get in here? How did this happen?
That was random. That was a random day. Again, for my day job, I happened to be on a tour through RFK. It's basically deserted, as we all know. So I looked down and I've been there before. I've been to a couple football games there. I've definitely been to some baseball games there. I mean, I definitely went to when the DC United first came on the scene. I was there, like all the games, MLS Cup, like alone. Like my mom would just drop me off at the Metro and go, "Have fun at the game." Cool, thanks, Mom. So out of respect, knowing that it's going to be torn down, out of respect, the scarf came to be. Hopefully, actually, other garments as well. But I just saw it, and the orange seats are so iconic. And it just looked, again, I'm just experimenting, so it looked so good mirrored next to each other. It created this depth in this textile. I was like, oh, that's super cool. I have to do something with it.
Man, it's so intricate, your process, right? Because from just even this time in our conversation, I picked up just how aware you are in just normal societal moments. Like you're on the Metro and you're like, oh, these platforms look good in a different color. Like, does it ever get to be too much? Like, do you ever be like, just shut up, brain?
That is a great point. Yes, I wouldn't say when it's creative. I think it's sort of when we're all idle and it goes negative, when thoughts go left. I mean, but I think staying creative and staying inspired, you avoid a lot of that. But no, I can be inspired by a shadow of a tree. So yeah, I'm probably super annoying to walk around with because sometimes I'm taking a lot of pictures, and I get why that would bum people out. So,
dude, we're 5 minutes from the restaurant.
I'm not going to mention who it was, but I remember going up the escalator with somebody I was on a date with, and I'm staring at these reflections of us in this weird bubble, alien ship over all these metro stations going, oh, that looks really cool. And she was just like, what am I doing with you?
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Feed me.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I mean, look.
It gets distracting.
No, but I appreciate it, as someone who's very observant himself. Like, it's good to know when other people out there are like, yo, wait, this moment needs to be taken in because it's going to birth other moments for me.
Totally.
And, and that's without weed. That's like a normal day of me.
Right.
So like, you look at moments, you look at life, and you're like, you get inspired by it. And I think that's honestly what the core of creativity is seeing what exists, finding something that doesn't, and connecting them.
That's a really cool definition.
And one thing that I do love, and I don't know how much of this aspect of what you're looking to do you're open to discuss, is just your vision for fashion and where you can see it going. Like, what do you see when you look at the landscape in any way comfortable?
I'm not sure where it's going stylistically. I don't know if anybody knows. Now, yes, you could do the whole, what was cool 20, 30 years ago, will probably some of that will get picked along the way again, as we rotate through, in terms of baggy versus fitted versus, colorful or plaid or whatever it is, or bucket hats. Those come and go about every 12 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know about that, but I'm challenging 10 and would challenge, I think, just the fashion industry as a whole. And some of it's probably lip service, but the being more of a sustainable ecosystem. Truly being aware of where your fabric is coming from, who's doing it, how much you can really actually sustainably make. I mean, dyeing fabric and making cotton, it is a hugely wasteful process.
Sure.
A lot of wasted water. So it's, what do we do with that? And can we use it? So that's a challenge I've put to myself, and I'd like to see the fashion industry go there. We'll see if it'll happen, but I would like it to.
But that's something that you find yourself wanting to hold yourself accountable for. At least.
Sure, and thinking about, okay, well, instead of doing custom fabric, which is a whole process, maybe there are ways where I can apply the same visual sort of design to the fabric that uses, cardboard stencils and or tape or embroidery or something that's just already sort of found already that exists.
Gotcha.
Or other scraps of other shirts, so
Yeah.
we'll see. I want to keep experimenting, but that I think we just have to be more sustainable.
And speaking to the sustainability aspect, and just this beautiful bubble pocket that we call the District of Columbia, how do you, like, it's so interesting because the smallest square space, it is a really large world, like actively in, for our viewers in Brazil, sorry, this might not be entertaining to you, but for just what we're building in this area, how do you see it kind of sustaining in a sense that creates the change that's impactful for these new tiers of creatives?
I would like it to be much more of a vertical for the industry. So I would like, it would be great if the state or the government got involved, but even if they don't, it's just, there's a lot of fashion brands in DC now, a lot of people designing clothes. It would be really cool if people got paid to make them in the district too. And that the production was here and that some of the facilities were here. It's like, there's a lot of rundown buildings in places where instead of having a brand new $4,000 a month condo go up, building it out so that people can be job trained and have the production right in the city. I would absolutely love that. I've always daydreamed about that, especially when people were really doing things in Northeast, like when, I don't know what companies, but I know there's been a couple sort of DC made brands and distilleries or beer brands or something, or breweries or whatever, where they've had big sort of compounds in Northeast with these old industrial buildings. And it's like, man, it'd be cool if the city could take some of those over, or somebody could take those over and have it be clothing production. So we wouldn't have to all go to New York, or we wouldn't have to go all international.
No, and you know what? That's something that, being someone not in that industry, I'm completely oblivious to, because I don't know what production looks like in that aspect. But you think about it, like most people are like, all right, I need to go on a fabric run. I'm heading up to New York. I'm going to get this. Like, I need to get my shirts. And they find themselves out of state doing these things where, it's kind of how I feel on the creative content side. Like, let's just build it and let it be here, because from branching out, we have a very great opportunity with, DC being very political. Of course, there are international ties. There's embassies every other block. There are other people that we can kind of get awareness to, but it's like, take care of home first too, and I love that direction of it for you. So like one of the other cool things you did like a Motor X experience. With like this whole design, and you showed me a video. I couldn't find the video to bring it to you guys. I'm sorry it existed, but I did at least have like one of the photos of the gentleman that you had, a couple of gentlemen that you had, and like talk about just what went into this actual
Sid.
Collaboration. And I believe it's
Sid and Woods. Yeah, I love Sid. I love Woods. They both did their thing on this shoot. Actually, I shot those on a film camera.
Really.
Yeah, just because I was so tired of my digital camera, and I was not clearly communicating well enough to the photographers I was working with to like get the photos I was really looking for. So I sort of said F it, and I shot it. I'm not saying it's the best quality, but basically with that idea. Now I must say I didn't tease it out enough. I will always regret how I released that collection. But the idea was to basically be a biker gang for good, and that you're going around protecting all of these historic landmarks in DC that are getting destroyed. And that was really important to me. So, I collaborated with Empower DC. No. So the video goes from my neighborhood to Ivy City, where there's the Alexander Crummell School that an organization I've been working with, Empower DC, has been fighting to turn into a community center for 40 years. And the city just was like Heismaning them the whole time. Like, nope, what? Community center? No. Green space? No. Like, you don't get anything. IBC doesn't get anything. And so, like, being aggressively, like, ignoring them. And so, you know, to bring attention to that organization, to hopefully bring some more eyes to volunteer, to just know about the cause, sort of had the video there and sort of thinking that from a design perspective is creating this gang of bikers, this biker gang that you know, protected things like the Kermel School, or made it more of like we're going to get behind this. It's like nobody messes with it until it's a community center kind of thing. You know, with RFK, like no, like rebuild it, you know, refurbish it, you know, put something else here. So just thinking about it like that, and in terms of some of the design inspiration, was a lot of like anime and a lot of. I watched a ton of documentaries on Tokyo and Japanese biker gangs, and they all have these awesome characters down the back of their coats, like all of them. And they probably mean a lot of crazy gang shit, but I just thought it looked cool, so I kind of tied that with the 10 elements, and that's what happened. So,
no, I like I said, another collection piece that I had purchased. But no, it was definitely, when I saw it, it was very intricate. It was very like just cinemanesque. There's a word that I'm not saying the best way, but it was
cinematic.
Let's go cinematic.
Maybe?
It's very cinematic.
Okay.
Very cinematic. Okay. But yes, it was something that was very well put together and just like brought you on this journey. And it was one that was like, yo, like, it looks like he's trying to take this brand somewhere else. And, you know, the question that it brings me to at this present time is just, you know, with all that you've done to this point with 10 and with who you are and where you see yourself going, what's on the horizon for you mentally? Like, where do you see yourself taking this as a community leader?
Wow, as a community leader, I need to, and I must, and 10 must, just involve ourselves more intricately and more, you know, conducively to like the communities and the organizations that we care about, and thinking about how can, you know, I tie in the people and the fashion in a way that works for everybody. I've always thought 10 as a platform for missions and causes that I care about, but there's got to be ways to do a better job of that. So honestly, I'm still asking myself that question. I think from a design perspective, in terms where I'm going visually and the type of clothes, I just focusing on more head to toe, like who is somebody that's a 10? What are they walking around looking like? You know, what are those clothes? So it's realizing that my prints are really unique and just going for it with those. So I mean, I've been lucky enough to travel a lot, so even if I'm going to somewhere like Nashville or New York or Philly or wherever, I will see something that to me is uniquely that city, and I've designed something for it. So I think it's going to start to, like the Chicago Flow set, that's just sort of, that's the beginning layer. See how people respond to that, and we'll go from there.
Man, look, I love it, and you're talking mission driven. We're talking change. We're talking all this, and to kind of just loop this back in, you know, we are approaching an election year. I mean, we are in an election year. I'm approaching. We're in it right now, you know. And what ways have you felt like you've been able to just use your platform to kind of echo the sentiments and your beliefs?
Interesting. I would say sentiment beliefs. I would say in terms of like the love hoodie, that does apply, but I haven't really been posting a lot of that content. I would say that, you know, I've been down at the protests. I don't really post a lot of the times that I'm there just because I feel it's a complex situation. And you know, and I don't post all the times I'm volunteering and things like that just because I think that's kind of trifling a little bit.
No, I agree. It's the same as like when you're handing someone money.
But you're right. But in this moment, I really think what it is not really through my brand, but through me. Is I'm just like, I'm slowing down on the brand so that I can. I've thought about being a poll worker on the day of the election. I've definitely figured out where I'm going to vote on October 17th. Get that the early voting out of the way in DC, and hopefully help however I can. I mean, I have emailed Empower DC about how I can help potentially with people getting to the polls, but we'll see. But I need to do something. Voting is just one piece.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, you know, because one of the, even if, you know, recalling to like the moments where as a district thing, but, you know, like when the go-go was kind of like being, they were trying to silence that, like even saw your activeness then. And I love the thought of like, while it's no need to advertise being there. You're there, you're seeing, it's great. You have to impact the moment. And also you don't want to come off like someone who has an actual, like, you know, hey, this is for show. Like, it's not this is for show, this is about the work kind of situation.
Right, and also again where we're at, and I think our history is like, I can believe a lot of the things I believe, but I really want to create a platform for people that haven't had an opportunity to express their feelings about it. So, you know, I'll always support monetarily or with my time. I'll always support Be Great DC when my friend Rachel started. I'll always support Empowered in DC as an organization. Socks movement I've partnered with. You know, Multitasking Hearts. I've partnered with, so I'll always, they're sort of in the 10 family. Sure. I'll always look for ways to partner with them, collaborate with them. Many times, if you're RSVPing for a 10 event, the proceeds go to one of those organizations. So just really keep doing that and expand the family, you know, to more causes that we care about.
Man, you've seen this show once or twice, so I would ask the question I always ask anyone on this platform: what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means, that's a great Jay-Z song, by the way. Yeah, I listened to that song on repeat. Legacy means leaving something behind that you're proud of. I think I would just like to leave, behind just knowing that the people that know me, that know that I love them, that love me, know that I'm looking out for them, I'm loyal to them, and I think if that expands more to how I can impact the city that I was born into and make it better before I die, that would be even better. So, but I don't know if you can make more, I don't think you can really make real impact outside of like a citywide thing, just in terms of as a single person. That's really rare. Sure. But man, if I can help save the Crummell School or something, or be part of helping save that, or supporting other organizations that need it, that would be a great legacy.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love what that you stand for. Again, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure for me. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, how can they support, and how can they be on 10?
They can be on 10 by following us on IG, which is 10_clothing, TEN_clothing. And then online, we are www.10clothing.xyz. And that's where you can read look at the lookbooks, see more videos, and of course, purchase all our clothing.
Look, he's on 10, I'm on 10, we are on 10. With that said, we're going to go to our producer who's on 10, and we want to see what we have been cooking up this whole time.
All right, been cooking up, and this is what I got.
All right, hey, man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. All right, once he's done, I'm going to do my closeout.
Hopefully,
My legs hurt.
the real deal. I love it.
And we're still on live on Instagram. Okay. All right. How I look from this one. Remember to close out Breonna Taylor's photo today. Thank you.
All right, that's my time. Thank you. Thank you, Cook, man. Thank you for having me. Cooking up, chefing up my recipe. And you can follow me on Instagram again That's BLUEH3FF. I got music on all streaming platforms. I got a beat tape on there called Show 'Em the Work. So just follow me on Instagram, and I got more content coming your way. All right.
Hey, yo, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's the energy I'm looking for. That's exactly what I need, and that's how we're going to take it out tonight. But in closing, man, I just want to say, and I want to express again, one, thank you to our special guest, Nick, for coming on to the show. A really great guy in the community. Not only that, but making an impact through his designs, through his vision, and just life around him. But most importantly, for those of us who are tuned in and those of us who are watching still, I just want to express the importance and the power of our voice again. We have this election coming up. I cannot speak on that enough. But bigger than all of that, I just want to say rest in peace to the beautiful soul of Breonna Taylor. It is, again, unfortunate that we did not get to see the justice that you deserve, but understand that your legacy does not stop there. And we will continue to fight for you and all other black women and bring a better light to it. With that said, good morning to all my creatives out there. Stay cooking. Take care.